Now, go to participants. Go up to Michael Dudley, Senior,
Why is he on it?
because he wants to check to see what's going on, probably.
I can
Just leave it like that. I guess you can. Don't close out. Just tell them.
Sarah? Hello?
Hello? Hello?
All right, I'm gonna run downstairs and see if they have the meeting up and running. I've made, this is Jennifer in the mayor's office. I've made Sarah the co-host because I have to run a couple errands in the building. So stay tuned.
Okay, Jennifer, we just got signed in. I was out in the hall calling you.
Okay,
Um,
down in a minute to deliver a few things. Okay, dear?
Okay, we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Thanks.
And hi, Ralph, we've got you on.
How you doing?
Good,
All
good.
right.
And let me see. Councilman Dudley, I see you there.
Yes, good morning, ma'am. I'm just going to be listening in. It's the first time I attended one of your all meetings.
Well, you're the first guest we've had at a meeting.
Oh, I'm going to be visiting off and on, not every meeting, but off and on I will be visiting.
Excellent. Let me see if I can figure out a way to be able to show the group so you don't have to see my face the whole time.
Maybe that's where you're there.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see what we get.
Well, it was kind of perfect last time because we had,
And I think it's
Ralph
recording.
was like
Let me
in
make
a
sure.
separate
Yes.
chair. That was funny. There we go.
Okay, let me see. Oh, that's my hair.
Is the main too, or that's Jennifer?
No, that's
over there?
Jennifer. She's gonna stop down.
Later, look like Pastor Cox there, huh?
I am. Yeah, they got me out of the bed. Well, actually, I was up studying, so I wasn't out of bed. I was already out of bed. I'm just up now. And out of the house.
Yes.
So
All right.
So with the Cleveland Leadership Center, we've got Bob applying. And then
Excuse me, since I had stepped out. So we have the extra spot. And you said that it was an in-depth application. But
It's a few pages.
okay. So if there's no one else who does want to do it, I'll go ahead out and commit to that one more thing.
Sarah, you're amazing. Yeah, seriously, bless your heart, because I think it's going to be an incredible networking opportunity,
Okay.
getting to connect with other people, and then you and Bob can figure out if it's worthwhile. So as far as the funds, because remember Sarah and I talked to Lenore, the registration is $1,500. Lenore told us generally $1,200 of scholarship funds are available, but that's earmarked usually for nonprofits. So whether we get it, who knows? So she said that we should expect to pay $300 minimum. I talked to Mayor Burke about this the Monday after our last meeting, and he said if we get accepted and if we decide to enroll, so like let's say both you and Sarah get accepted and we decide that this is what we're going to do, and we got the scholarship money, we didn't get the scholarship money, this is what the finances are. At that point, Mayor Burke said that funds could be available, but we would need to bring it to council.
Okay.
So we would need to bring it to council as a request, either through like a special session or through a regularly scheduled meeting, but bringing it up to them to see what options are available.
Okay.
There's
There's also a $10 fee, just so you know, when you fill out the application.
Oh, $10, Lord.
Yeah, but I thought they should have paid us that.
There goes
Fill
my
out this form.
retirement.
And then Sarah, I have time now during the summer, so if there's any way I can support you with the application, just let me know and I'd be more than happy to do that.
Okay, sounds good.
And then that way, the next good step is you guys fill out the program and you think like, who should we connect with? Should we connect with them? Is that something? Okay, all right, so the second one, we were brainstorming a lot, the possibility of some sort of summer or a harvest event. So we were trying to think of like what would be our first community event? And the first option was something maybe in the summer, and we talked about early August. And it could be sort of like because Mayor Burke wants that cultural series, right? So like each weekend a different culture.
Right.
What we were talking about is instead of doing a whole bunch of events half-heartedly,
Right.
doing one event really well. So we were thinking about doing that as a summer event or as a harvest event. And we were going back and forth about the logistics and what it could look like. Again, I talked to Mayor Burke and Jennifer a bit, and she said, you know, fundraising is a real thing. You got to figure out what the funds look like. And then Mayor Burke told me the name Pat something. I don't remember her last name.
CMAC, something like that.
Yeah. As far as what funds are available now for something like that,
Okay.
I just have to talk to Pat CMAC to think.
So let me,
Yeah, and that's in my email. So what are our thoughts on those? And part of it too, part of this event was, it's also connected to the forum and the community survey. And it would serve as, so we're gonna do this community survey to see like, what does the community need? And it would be pushed out on social media. It could be pushed out in the churches. It could be pushed out in the neighborhood news. And then for any people who don't hear about it from either of those venues, we were thinking one final push at some sort of event where in addition to like speakers and performances and nonprofits and churches having their setup, there could be like a share your feedback center where people could go and do the survey. And it's almost better because not only are they answering these questions, you're actually talking to them.
Right.
in the ward meetings.
I was about to
You
say,
gotta,
we're
yeah,
talking
we
about
gotta
the
get, you gotta
council.
get in those meetings because that's where we're getting a lot of public response now.
Right.
More so than I've ever seen. And so you're gonna be able to really get the word out if we have a space in those meetings to do a small presentation on after we put it together. To kind of get the word out, and that would be a really good place to get the word out because a lot of people from all of the different areas in our community, in our wards, attend those meetings. So I think that would be a real effective way of getting the word out.
Yeah.
You know?
So where we were at last meeting, we were thinking about summer harvest. So summer would be beginning of August, right? And then harvest would be like September, October.
The harvest as a fall.
Right.
Yeah,
But we weren't gonna call it harvest, were we?
we just like, as far as the
But-
timing goes.
Right, just when we get it.
Yeah,
To it, but I think doing one event is more cost effective and more effective for our time.
yeah,
If we just do one really big, good one, and then hopefully get enough response to do it, to make it annual for it.
mhm,
Right, and we were talking, the very fact that it would be our first endeavor. We've got to look good, because we
Yeah.
start out and we overextend ourselves and don't do a good job.
mhm.
It's gonna make the whole committee not look very, valid.
Exactly.
So we have to be careful how we approach it so that we do, so it's measured.
Yeah.
So that we put forth a good effort. But I have one question. The mayor had that thing over Memorial Day weekend, park,
Mhm.
a get together.
Yeah,
How was that attended? How was that received?
So I didn't go to the get together. Oh, the get together
That
in
was
the
the
park.
idea.
Yeah, I didn't make
I
that.
did go to that.
Okay, how was that?
I got there a little, well, I guess it was 12 to 4.
Yeah.
And maybe I was there in the vicinity of 2.
When it was snowing?
And I was gonna say,
Right? Yeah, it was
Yeah.
ridiculous weather.
the
Wow.
weather was not cooperative, so people probably would come, talk and leave. So when I got there, there were maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 people. And it was funny to me, my daughter and I went, and so I've been that hidden resident in Garfield Heights since 2005. So the number of times I had to respond no to the question, are you new to Garfield Heights? No, I'm just new to learning things happen in Garfield
Yeah.
Heights because I didn't know anything was going on in Garfield Heights. And I think that's why with this committee, the communication was the thing I had talked to the mayor about. Citizens don't know things are going on.
Yeah.
They don't know who their council people are in some instances.
Right.
And so I think communication and how we communicate, not necessarily us, but the city itself is important. And all those little Facebook pages, I've tiptoed across Facebook. I guess they call it trolling, to try to get information of what's happening in everybody's thing.
Uh-huh.
And it's just amazing. This person has that info, but then you come over here for that.
Yeah.
There's no consistency, and for the city to not have its own Facebook page, its own social media is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Right.
It's unfortunate, but the event itself was nice. I think had the weather been good, it would have been a
More
lot
attended
different.
too.
That's what I said.
But nobody wanted to be in the park. I mean, I was like, oh, I should put on a winter coat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, nobody knew it was gonna snow that late either.
Yeah.
It's like, I think, I've been here about 17 years. And I think it's just the right time that people are being more involved now because of the time that we're in.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a right time for us to really get involved. And I'm noticing now there's a certain level of accountability that we're holding our council people to that probably hasn't been there before. And I think that's what we're seeing, a lot of conflict. And I think as a committee, I think as a committee, we ought to be able to have meetings with them as well.
Yeah.
To kind of have open discussion, because it's, I don't think it's gonna get to a place where everybody just automatically starts being in harmony. That's gonna take some time. And so I just like to see the level of conflict come down in city meetings.
Yeah.
The recent ones, it's been
So that
better.
so that we can really have open discussion and really start a dialogue about what we're talking about. and what we're
Right.
doing, where we're going.
I think we could accomplish that if we invited them here, but not if we go to them.
Right, the council
Yeah.
meeting isn't the place for that. That's a
No, I'm
whole
just saying, I'm
different.
having a separate
Yeah.
meeting outside of the council meeting, what I mean.
Yes, yes,
Not necessarily in the city council meeting, because that's definitely not the place. for
right.
that.
Mhm.
But having a separate meeting where we sit down and share after we've gotten the surveys back,
Oh,
after
right.
we've gotten
Yeah.
feedback from
Yeah.
the community.
That's the
Because
game
then-
plan.
Then we can have from the people, we can have a good,
Mhm.
Mhm.
healthy discussion on what we're seeing.
Exactly.
And we
Yeah.
can duke it out in private.
So these are, this is a copy, a color copy of the welcome packet that we sent to the residents. I think it was 2 meetings ago, you guys had asked for it. We had a couple changes. I had started scanning them to email, but the files are rather large. So it was just easier for me to print them for you.
Yeah.
So I made a packet for each of you, and then if anyone's not here and would like one, I would be more than happy.
And you said these are sent out to the residents?
No, nothing is sent out,
Yeah.
no. As
Oh,
of right now, this is not mailed. When they come in to fill out their occupancy permit or do their paperwork as a new homeowner in the building department, these are provided to them. This would probably cost about $6 to mail.
yeah.
One,
Oh, that's expensive.
it's folded in half and it's in a smaller envelope. I didn't fold yours so you guys, would have it, but I would say it would probably, you have to actually weigh it. I think it might be $6 because we do get different postage rates, so maybe
Right.
more.
And that could even be a cool.
That's still kind of expensive.
It is if we do it, and it,
People for.
yeah, they could get expensive. So when people register or they call, we notify them they're available for them in the building department,
Yeah.
because that's usually the first stop when someone becomes a resident of the city.
That could even be a really cool programming option as we move forward, something like a quarterly or biannual, like new resident workshop, new resident welcome program, something like that, like you are new to Garfield Heights, welcome on board, this is who we are, this is what we do, these are the services.
Is there a way to get it to renters at all? New
Renters are
Oh,
residents.
yes.
Renters are residents, they register, landlords are required to register their rentals in the building department, and this is open to anyone that wants one. So even if they call one of us gals upstairs and they ask for something, we do notify them that this is available to them.
Yeah.
Can we get two more for?
Absolutely.
People?
Yeah, I just
And
didn't know if you could get them to them or if you
Yeah.
want me to hold on to
We
them.
can figure out a way to do that.
All right, if you guys have any questions, let me know. They are scanning these to be on the new website.
Oh, that's
Just a
cool.
heads up. So they will be available. I don't know if they're gonna put them on this website or if they're just gonna wait.
Well, that's a lot cheaper, I'll tell
But
you.
they're definitely scanned and gonna be available digitally as well.
Excellent. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
all right, have a great day.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so I think a lot of today is thinking through those action steps too. And as we were talking about, especially what Ian was saying about talking with the council person, meeting your council person. Part of the impetus for the Summer Fest not only was obviously like an event, but also a meet and greet, like who are the organizations, who are your council people? Because it's such a big election and we have the mayoral election coming up.
Yeah, that's right,
Like-
that would be good,
Being an informed voter.
yes.
So something that if we decide not to do a harvest, like not to do a summer fest, like we're not doing a summer fest, this is not a celebration.
Right.
What if we instead did something like a meet and greet? Like these are all of the mayoral candidates. And we can invite them and say, like, if you would like to have a booth out, like, just introduce yourself. These are your council people. These are the people on the Board of Education. And especially since it is right before an election, opening it to candidates who are running still too, because who said that before?
Okay,
That would be
here's what
cool.
we were talking about last meeting, doing for the council candidates, having a meet and greet.
Yeah,
We talked about doing
Mhm.
that. And then for the mayors, we talked about doing the forum, and then we got into the discussion that there was, I guess, a side group of citizens who were trying to plan something. And I did not have an opportunity, my goal didn't happen, was to contact the current candidates for mayor to kind of find out, okay, you did not wish to participate in this other thing. I don't know what that was. Here's what we're doing. Would you be willing to participate? Before, I wanted to do that before we sent the information out, so they wouldn't think it was the same as whatever.
Right,
Other
group
thing
was
they
doing-
got.
I heard about that, I heard about that.
Oh, okay, well, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I just heard about it, and, you know, some accepted, some rejected, or I don't know what the whole
Yeah.
scope of it was. But it was a good effort, but I think because we're more of an established committee, that may be something that we could be able to do and pull off.
exactly, and that's what
Yeah,
Jolanda,
because we have that level, you know.
Jolanda.
Excuse me. Please, let me, I want to interrupt your meeting, but please let me know when it's time for, people who are listening in have an opportunity to speak, because I do want to touch on that subject that y'all touching on now because of a conversation that took place prior to y'all even being formed. And I just want to say something about that when the time comes to speak. So definitely let me know when it's okay for me to speak.
Oh, yeah, you can share now.
Now, while the iron is in the fire.
Well, good morning, everybody, and I'm happy to see your face, Pastor Cox. Now we know basically what each other look like. Okay, but I want to put up, and I want to really put this as caution. Well, actually, when this group was being formed, this was not just this year. When I came into office in 2007, the reason why we formed this group in 2010, because we had some racial issue. We had an incident where we had an employee was referring to Black employees at the word "N." He was walking around using the word "nigger" in front of these employees, and no action was being taken against us. I'll give you a little history on how this was formed. So we went back and forth because it was a concern at the time. I'm the only member of council, and you can go back to the Garfield Heights Sun, Maple Sun, everybody remember that paper, and it would tell you what my comments were. So in 2010, we said we definitely had to do something. Now the committee, everything was drafted up and no finger pointing, but I couldn't get this to move forward, just the draft and the legislation. So fast forwarding, me and former Mayor Clover got together and we had a discussion. And I'm not gonna mention the members, we had some clergy members who also attended this at the time. And it was that we had to do something. We had to create a body. But the thing we made most importantly is that you got to be careful with this committee that you don't go into the political ramifications. And when you're talking about holding forums, that is politics. And I really like what this group is doing. But the moment you step into that arena, you're going to open yourself up that people are going to point it's become political. And we definitely, even with Clover, we want to make sure that we concentrate on the needs and the concerns of the people and not the political part of the city. Because when you're talking about there's a reason why some people will not attend these meetings. And even you put it together. And then they're going to label this group. And I can tell you right now, they're going to label the group as a political entity. And it can destroy your organization. What I say within the fabric that was created. I think is a great thing to be doing, community relations. And it goes back to me and Clover last year discussing this. But we really made sure that we wanted to stay clear of politics. See, just like we say on the comments, we say the council members accountable. We did not say the city accountable. We have to be careful on that language because then you only point to the council. I'm gonna make it quick and wind it up, but you're not pointing to the city as a whole. So that's a problem right there. The city is accountable to the residents, not just council. When we say meet your councilman, I'm out in my ward and some other members are out as well. And that's okay, but you got to work things around the agenda. But I want you to be real careful that you're walking on that line. And I don't want y'all to be labeled. Once you get labeled, people are going to lose that trust. Politics is something that you got to really caution yourself. I'm not into all that stuff. But when you're talking about putting a mayor's forum together, you're going into the political world. Your community relations is community relations about the community. And there's still some members most likely will not attend that for one reason or another. And I don't want them to be labeled. I would say, oh, they didn't want to show up. So I want the politics to be politics with all due respect. But I want this board to continue to focus because there's a lot of needs that we can address. And that me and Eric Clover had discussed with other pastors in this community. And there's a greater need than worrying about the political part. But I would love to sit down with y'all one day because I think we are missing part of some of the stuff that we should be addressing. You know, I didn't say you all, I said we, because I include myself too. We are missing part of something that we have an utmost urgency to discuss, but I don't see it coming out. And I just seen some of the minutes. But also, I got one last question. I'll let y'all go. But I strongly suggest, because when you start with politics, you're going to come on the floor. You're going to have the other group saying why they don't do it for us, but they're doing it for this group. It's going to create a serious issue on that. But when do y'all plan under 136.01 in the creation that I see has been about 4 meetings and you still has not chosen your chairperson? At any time do y'all plan that you all are in charge of selecting your own chair? Nobody can be appointed to run the group. And after 4 meetings, you all should definitely set a date where you're going to pick your chairperson. You have to pick a chairperson. And that's all I have, and I appreciate your time.
Okay, now let me see if I can respond to what you are saying regarding us becoming political. Our intent is not to become political. Our intent is to inform the residents.
Right.
And for us to say the level of accountability to the constituents that our council people are being held to a level of accountability, you are the city. You represent us. So we are holding you accountable and we're focusing you out because that's what we're hearing in your meetings. So that's not something to just say, to throw a pot shot at you. But
No. I agree, Pastor. But I said the city as a whole.
Let me finish my thought, Councilman. It's not to say that we're throwing pot shots at you. This is to say what we are seeing. And so we're coming up, and right now we're in the brainstorming stage because we're just meeting and getting to know each other. But at the same time, we're still trying to come up with effective ways for not only people to be informed about what's going on in their city, but also they should know who their candidates are. They should know who people are. So for us to say, because we've been this selected committee to do this work, for us to say that we're not going to attempt to have our people in our communities meet our constituents, meet our council people, meet our mayoral candidates. I don't think there's any, that's not us delving into the political world. That's delving into a place where we want to know what's going on with these people who we are going to be selecting to lead us.
Correct.
Political at all, sir.
Correct. It's just a forum. Yeah. Go ahead.
We're not coming to the mayoral race or coming to the city council people and saying we want to have an open debate where we're going to sit down and question you all. No, what we're saying is we want our people to be informed about who they're going to be voting for, about who they are. And so that has nothing to do with politics. That has everything to do with sharing information so that people can be a really informed voter.
Yeah.
Which is what I think all mayors would want that, as opposed to people not knowing who they are, because that's one of the reasons I like this committee.
And so I agree, Pastor. I agree with that part.
Connect people with the community. So to say that we are going to get into this political realm, I don't think that that's what our intent is.
Well, no, Pastor.
What they say, we just got to do what we're supposed to do.
And right, and I agree with that. You misunderstood me, Pastor.
Can I listen for a second? Our time here is very limited.
I know, and I want to say one more thing. And
Councilperson Dudley, I'm talking right now. Please listen. Thank you. Our time is very limited. We only have 40 minutes still together.
Right.
And just like Pastor Cox just said, Councilperson Dudley, this is our 4th meeting. We are still understanding each other, understanding this committee. So we will allow you to stay at this committee as an observable guest. Because meetings have all been closed. You are actually uninvited to this meeting. We're not completely sure how you got this link.
It's a public meeting, ma'am.
Here, you are able to remain as an observable person, but for us to work through our agenda, we need you to be an observable member, not a participant right now.
And yes, ma'am, and I was just asking for one more minute, if I could. I'm just asking the chair floor for one more minute.
You have 1 minute, councilperson.
Okay. And I wanted to correct something with you, Pastor. I wasn't talking about as far as a forum. My concern was, and I think we misunderstood each other on that part. And if we did, I apologize for that, Pastor. But I was talking about, I didn't want it to be a debate set coming from this organization. The forum and meet the candidates, I think, is a great idea. But I didn't want the organization to go into setting up debates, because I want to keep the good picture of what the organization was created for. So do understand that I was a part of bringing this back up, and that was my concern. But I think we misunderstood each other, Pastor, and I appreciate the time.
Well, I think our intent is more from a social standpoint. We're talking meet and greet. It's more of an introductory thing. So if you don't know who's running, here they are. You can ask them questions, you can shake their hand, you can meet them. It's so that people know who the people are in the community.
And can I bring an idea to the table too? Especially since this is still brainstorming, we are all still new. This meeting has always been closed. I'm not completely sure how Councilperson Dudley got the link nor the information about this meeting happening, since we haven't invited anyone outside of our committee. I would like to ask permission for this session, for it to be a closed, open brainstorming session for the next 45 minutes, which means it would just be Ralph, Jennifer, and the 5 of us.
Right.
Is that something that we can agree on?
Yes.
Fine.
Sarah?
Okay, fine.
All right, Ralph, where do you vote?
Yeah. I'm listening.
Okay, so Person Dudley, we are happy to talk with you, but outside of this time or space. You can come and join us at another time for a separate meeting, but this is still open brainstorming and open planning. So it's a closed meeting.
No problem. I'm going to depart, but this is a public meeting and it shouldn't be closed, ma'am. Thank you.
know what happened. This makes me uncomfortable.
Hold on 1 second. Sarah, can you remove him, please? And we can mute ourselves.
Okay, he signed out.
Just everybody
I didn't know where
take,
that came out of left field. I'm like.
I need this. I don't know if we need this. We're not gonna talk. We're all gonna take 5 deep breaths because I need to take a second. So just take 5 breaths, just come. I got to 5. Did everyone else get to 5?
I got to more. I got me a couple extra in. I think I need a little more than y'all.
Yeah, I needed some. I'm like, I could feel my cortisol was.
Yeah, I mean, it was like.
My cortisol was running through the roof. I mean, my nervous energy, my anger, my frustration was running through the roof. How did he get the link? How did he know this was happening?
I don't.
He said something about minutes from our minutes. I mean, it was like he's
We're following up. He's
got
trolling us.
got everything.
Yeah,
I mean, I mean, he's running for mayor and I can understand his nervous energy, but at the same time, I don't think that any council person should dictate to us what our ideas are, what we're attempting to do for the community, because that's what we will put together forward.
Right,
That was
it's our
our
job
job.
to take information to them.
this situation was completely unacceptable.
It was.
This was completely unacceptable.
It made me very uncomfortable.
It made me incredibly uncomfortable.
Because we're new. I'm still learning your names. It's like,
Yeah.
we're trying to.
I was just trying to feel everybody and make sure we kind of start coming together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this even our 4th meeting? This is our 3rd meeting.
Third, face
to face.
We had the
We
one-
had one Zoom.
We had one Zoom.
Yeah, that was unacceptable.
And I believe that, I don't have a problem with us opening up and having people come in, but we gotta figure out what we're doing first.
Exactly.
We
I mean, you
did.
can't just have people come in and, just be watching and we don't know what we're doing yet.
Yeah, no,
Cause that'll make it unorganized.
we accept it on our terms. This was not, and even when we saw Councilperson Dudley, we all stared at each other.
Yeah, I
I
was
don't
thinking to
think
myself, like, what happened?
I don't think a single one of us expected that.
No, I didn't know. I thought this was gonna be our getting together and kind of
Right.
learning each other and then putting stuff like we were talking about, the stuff that he signed up for the Institute and
Mhm.
putting stuff together to where we can kind of figure out what direction we're gonna take.
Yeah.
You don't select a leader and do all of that before you get to know each other, I don't think, because you don't know.
Yeah, and him
That's what
talking,
he said. Yeah, we didn't know each other to make that kind of.
Right.
and him talking about like, what type of planning, don't go into politics, what about like pushing this agenda? That was a council person pushing an agenda on us.
And that's also a mayoral candidate.
And pushing us towards a particular agenda and away from a particular agenda.
And then with that, we can't allow.
And I don't think any of us, and in a million years, I did not anticipate that.
I didn't either.
And then even being there, I just thought he was gonna be a silent observer.
Exactly.
That's what I thought. I thought he was
Okay.
just gonna be just watching. And so when we got to bring up a topic, he like, wait, I want to speak. I was like, and then when he started saying we shouldn't do this and we shouldn't do that, I was thinking to myself, like, what?
And for him to say these meetings.
Oh, that's Kevin. I was like, hold up, here go another person, but it's Kevin.
Okay.
Well, even the mayor said in our first meeting here, that our meetings do not have to be open. We are
No.
not dictated by the same rules that the council. is
That's right.
dictated by. So we do not have to have everybody and anybody come in and sit on our.
That's
meetings.
right.
Maybe at some point, yeah, but now, no.
Right,
No,
that's what I'm thinking.
no, we don't
We
even,
could definitely not go public now. That would be crazy.
and that's what we had decided on our very first meeting. We are not gonna go public for a very long time. I don't understand where Councilman Dudley just came up with all of this. And I think it's a breach of power, what he just did.
Well, we're looking at an umbrella of it's a 3-year umbrella. That's what we're all signed up for.
Right.
We're into our 3rd, maybe 4th meeting.
Right, we haven't even gotten.
We don't have our legs yet. We're not there yet. And I don't appreciate somebody just coming in and then piping in their opinions. It's a
Yeah.
whole-
Well, I just believe when we get ready to decide to allow public people to come in and do our meetings and that kind of thing, we need to have it together.
Yeah.
And we definitely don't have that yet. So, you know.
And I
you can't-
think where we can leave it at this is, this situation with Councilperson Dudley does need to be addressed farther by the mayor. I am happy to bring that to him today in order to, I mean, if we have to formally establish a protocol to follow, like a
Right.
protocol, like these are our specific closed meetings. Because I think it needs to be investigated how Councilperson Dudley found out about this meeting. How
Yes.
he was
Yes.
late. And if him putting comments in to dictate our agenda is a breach of his power.
Right.
Because those things were all unacceptable. I don't think because I mean, we're all on edge now, I can feel it.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, that's why I had to respond, like, wait a minute, man. You-
Yeah.
You can't.
Oh, I gotta say, both of you guys did really well. I loved how you just sort of slapped him down. For lack
I
of a better
didn't
term.
think I needed to, but I had to pull out my Camilla Harris.
First thing I thought about was. Like, he's kind of-
But
I mean, I'm
think we
talking right now.
Not in his defense, but just in the comment, we did say, when he asked about speaking, we did say, okay.
But we
Right.
didn't
We
expect
had no
that.
But
idea what he
you know,
was saying.
I thought he was gonna start talking
Yeah.
about, ideas and things that we could do to, do
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
or
we weren't
maybe not, because
expecting-
he's been around so long, maybe I thought he was gonna bring something fruitful for the table, but I didn't know he was
No,
gonna start
none of that
dictating
was
direction.
fruitful. None of that was solutions oriented. None of that was.
But that's what I
planning and
thought when he said, can I
brainstorming.
speak? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, oh, okay, yeah, what do you do
Well,
that now?
let's move on.
Yeah.
What was, I don't even, where were we, what were we doing?
Right.
Well, just so that, because we are moving on from this,
Right.
I will today bring that up to the mayor. We have this recorded, right?
Mhm.
That everything that just happened was recorded. So I'll bring it to the mayor today. This is an immediate investigation and action because we are so new, and so limited in time.
Right.
This time needs to be safe and productive.
Look how much
Yes.
time we just wasted.
Oh, that's why
20
I,
minutes.
that's why I tried to get him to, sorry,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say it,
This is
but
not for this.
Yeah,
yeah.
But no, because he commented to me.
he did. All right, anywho, we've taken our 5 breaths. We have action steps on that. We are now somewhere between bullet points 3, 4, and 5.
Right.
I think we left off with when we were talking about the kind of the forum thing. I think that's where we were, as far as that, having that event to be more so of a meet and greet.
Yeah, he was thinking a debate.
Yeah, he
We were
was thinking
talking
something
more,
totally,
like with the council people, we said more of a meet and greet. The mayor, we said a forum. And I think we might have been saying with the forum, it was gonna be, the candidates were gonna be live, but the audience was not.
Exactly.
That was
Right.
my impression.
And then even so, Mr. Cox, so you can bring through the timing of everything that we thought through. The primary election for the mayoral campaign, anyone who gets their signatures in, the primary election is on September 14th. And that is where all of the candidates who have gotten their signatures are on that primary ballot.
okay,
And then from that, because we're not really like a Democratic Republican city.
right,
So it's anyone who makes it through primary, the top 2 candidates then go on to the ballot in November. So
and that's the actual.
the
voting on
actual
mayor.
election,
Gotcha.
yeah. So what we were thinking, primary is September 14th. So our initial brainstorming was, because I was also in that group for the mayoral forum. Once it was clear it was only going to be one candidate, I stepped back. But there was a lot of city interest. I would say about 200 residents showed an interest, not a debate, but a forum.
Right, just
where-
to meet, we want to know who you are.
Exactly, and it was going to be a virtual platform. So what we were thinking about is the last full week of August and then the second to last full week of August, doing one mayoral forum, just these are your candidates.
Right,
A virtual forum, and then a council person forum as well,
that sounds good,
both virtual.
yeah,
And then the pivot we were just having in our brainstorming and planning today is we kept talking about what can we do in the summer, what can we do in the summer, what.
right,
And we were looking at some sort of summer fest or something on August 1st. Because it could also be that last final push for the community survey.
gotcha,
We did the community survey online, we did it in the neighborhood news, we reached out to all the churches. There's still gonna be people we haven't gotten.
okay,
One final push in August through a summer fest. And we were talking last week about maybe making it or 2 weeks ago, about making a summer cultural fest. But rather than doing something sloppy right now,
right,
the pivot today is what if we just make it a meet and greet? And then that's where Mayor Dudley,
Gotcha.
or Councilperson Dudley took over the meeting.
right,
So what do we think about that possibility? Because that doesn't necessarily have to be a ton of planning. It
Right.
could just be an invitation.
right, right.
And where would we do it? Where would we host it?
That's what I was wondering.
So 2 summers ago, the library and their parking lot hosted a touch a truck event for the children
Oh, yeah.
to come and like touch the fire truck.
Right, right.
It was fun.
My kids went, so I
Oh, yeah.
remember that.
If you're 3 years old, touching a fire truck.
That's a
is
huge
the
deal.
biggest
My kids,
thing.
my son was all on it,
Did you
trust me.
take a picture? Yeah, I took mine. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a big thing, but if we did meet and greet and touch a truck, like come meet the candidates who are running and your current people. We could invite interested organizations, come meet Nichelle Daniels and her Abundant Love group, meet churches. We could just put out the call. And instead, it's just like the only entertainment is a DJ and trucks for the kids to touch. And other than that, it's like just meet people.
So we can get our firemen and one of our fire engines to come possibly.
Yeah, I think that's what the library did. They just contact, like, it was a fire truck, an ambulance, a police car.
Right.
Oh, they had the city, the service department had the bulldozers, the.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember yep, that's right, that's
And I
right.
mean, it could be ideally free of charge unless we need to pay for the space. And then maybe because I think all events are better with music and food. Music, let's get a DJ. Let's see if we can get a super cheap, maybe free DJ just to play music with their big speakers.
Yeah,
If we partner with local churches, ask like whoever, like, let's say Mayor Burke's gonna be there. Maybe he can bring something. I don't
right,
know, right? So instead, it's truly just a meet and greet, and then it can still be an informational gathering
Yeah.
table. It can
Yeah.
still be that table together.
and that's where
information.
people are just touching and being able to see who they are. And then, and at the same time, the kids, bring your kids, so you don't have to have anybody watch your kids and all that stuff. It
Exactly.
can just be a whole. And if we do that, it would be great. I think that sounds way cool.
And it doesn't have, like, we don't have to, because I know Jennifer's big pushback before was like, they were talking about foods and food trucks and drinks and everything like that. Take all of that off of our plate. We can't handle anything like that yet,
Right.
but we can handle, it's basically like a networking event.
They just have a table with water, chips, cookies.
And then the organizations bring those. So
Yeah, right,
like, if
right.
you're coming, we will supply entertainment via the DJ, and the guests, so to speak, can supply food, snacks, beverages, etc.
Right.
So then you spread the wealth, spread the responsibility, so to speak.
I think that would be something awesome, especially for them to touch and feel, those people who they're gonna be interested in possibly voting for.
And then in addition, that could be another way to advertise the survey.
Right.
So let's say all of us are on site that day. We're all at, like, maybe one or two of us are managing the event. And then the remaining 4 are just at the community relations booth, gathering
Gathering those
responses.
surveys, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And not only gathering the surveys, talking to residents,
Mhm.
like having those conversations. What do you think, Sarah? You've been quiet.
Yes, I'm running the event logistics through my
Mhm.
brain. So we're saying to the council people, and so anybody running and anybody currently in office, you can be here, and are we saying you have a table? So that there's 20 tables of them, and then there's 5 churches, and there's 4 nonprofits or whatever, and everybody has a table, is that what we're thinking?
That's what I imagine.
Okay, and then to have that table, this is just your, in essence, free advertisement of what you're doing,
Mhm.
okay?
And then open, because on the agenda, I put forward, how does this connect to the legislation on each of these points? I think doing something like that connects to duty C for us. So 13604C, to promote communication and understanding between institutions, citizens, and citizens groups. The institution would obviously be council and even the Board of Education.
Right.
The citizens would be like the elected representatives and the citizens themselves. And then the groups, like being able to know what groups are out there, and what opportunities those afford. And I really think I'm gonna push us to stick with that August 1st, August 7th, or August 8th date, because everyone's life changes a little bit in the school year.
You got that right.
So being able to know what's going on, so you start to think, like, Michelle Daniels has this really strong program. She's the current Board of Education president, that's what it's called. She's the president. Her nonprofit, Abundant Love, does a whole bunch of community literacy outreach and family literacy outreach.
Okay.
Families should know about that. Families should know about that and should know what opportunities she has for programming during the school year.
Right.
So to get back, so I don't have to be kind of on you.
You're fine.
So they all have that table. We have our table that is giving out, we're able to take the survey information for people who haven't done it. We want there to be food and drink. So do we say to the people that got that free table, you have to supply? And then how we determine that? Is there
Yeah,
a
you know,
list? You get a
know,
table,
water.
you can put your stuff out, but
gotta
5
have
cases
water.
of water.
Yeah.
3 pizzas, I mean, I don't know, whatever.
Yes.
But to develop what it is so that it semi comes out
Mhm.
equal.
Yeah, and then that way there's reason to go.
Right, and
Like-
I'm gonna come to your table, I don't know who you are, but I want that piece of pizza, or I
Yeah.
want that, whatever, I'm
Right.
coming to your table.
Otherwise, it's
Because
like
I'm
a
thirsty.
potluck where everybody brings the same thing.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Right, and then we can designate that and separate that, and I think that would be a great opportunity for us to really get a lot of surveys.
Mhm.
And then that way, when we come to the council, we'll have some meat on the bone, you know what I mean? For lack of better terms, to talk about, you know, this is what the community is saying, this is what, this is, you know, and this is how we can kind of get that connection
Mhm.
with us and them, and then get the community with them, and then, you know, with the council and the city and the community together.
Yeah,
Right.
I think our top priority is that community survey.
yes, because that is really
Yes.
going to drive our
Yeah.
programming. And that community survey ties directly into duty number, letter E, duty E. I'm sorry, I don't have one of these for you, Ian. We have, like, you have this, again, just in my office.
Don't worry about it, I'm following along well.
It says to conduct research and studies in the field of community and diversity in an effort to lessen prejudice, blah, 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 blah. So we're not necessarily conducting research on a large scale. We're literally looking at our own residents. What's happening in our community? What do they see? What do they need? And I think that that's a really great first step.
We're talking about somebody, weren't 2 people gonna come up with questions for the survey?
I know Kevin was,
Kevin was working on questions for the survey.
How's that going, Kevin?
I think he logged
I
off.
think he
Oh,
just
whoops,
stepped
oh,
out.
do you think he got kicked off with the?
Well, I think he's at work. I think he's juggling.
Yeah,
over it.
he's trying to be in and be out, yes,
Yeah.
I understand that.
I think especially the survey is so important and it needs to be organized logically to gather the type of data we're looking at.
Right,
So we're looking at like quantitative data. We need some sort of numbers because people love numbers, but
right.
they're not super helpful. So we need like stories too. We need the qualitative data. So I would be happy to spearhead that. I definitely don't want to work alone. I'd be happy to work with someone.
Well, I
work
know
with-
he was working on it and he mentioned he'd been putting together some questions.
Got it.
So I don't know.
And one thing I can do is
Mhm.
when we get the information, have questions, I
Yeah.
will design it. I will make a
Oh,
workable
that is
PDF
cool.
Yes,
that you can send out to everyone and anyone. Plus, we'll have a nice looking piece that when it's printed up, it will look like, it'll look like we have our act.
and can you translate that same PDF into some workable digital document?
Oh, yeah,
So then
exactly.
that way we can push it in all of
Oh, that is
these groups.
Yep.
Because the unique thing, this was what the mayoral candidate forum talked about that I was really impressed on, is so many of us are heavy into the digital sphere. We have a huge group of residents though who are not.
Right.
And if we are only relying on the digital landscape, we miss a huge,
And there's a lot of seniors who
Yeah.
are not, and they
Yeah.
are not going to go to the digital sphere.
Yeah.
Trust me, I got a church and I have older members.
right?
Digital is not them.
It's not them.
They're not trying to learn it either.
Once we get this survey though, by it being a PDF, how do we now translate the information?
Mm.
Well, everything comes back to one place. There would have to be one email address that when you're.
Well, no, I
finished, you
mean,
send it back.
now we got 200 surveys.
Yeah.
How
Can
do we
you
put that information
into a thing?
into something? You know, like sometimes when you use a Google Doc or
Yeah.
something, or even forms on Google, it comes back and it counts
Right, right.
what the responses are.
I think Sarah brings up a super valid point. I think what it's gonna mean, because we can't rely solely on the Google forum. It could be a huge push, but if we just rely on that, it doesn't reach all the residents.
Right.
So I think then, Bob, what we would need from you is translating that Google forum into a like hard copy that we could connect with. And then it'll just be some time. So like
Somebody will just have to enter it.
we'll just have to enter it. And then I think, Bob, where your resources could be huge is taking the results and turning it into some sort of infographic.
Right.
Mhm.
So then that way, as we're planning programming, we
Right.
don't show like, hey, we're just pulling this out of our mind.
Right.
It's
This
rooted
is what
in,
you said.
it's rooted in
Right.
research.
Right.
And if you wanted something different, why didn't you do the survey? We had the survey live, so this is a big question. So we have Vanessa, Kevin, and Marina to make the questions. We have Bob to translate it, into also a paper file. And then once it's compiled, to turn that into an infographic. We need to set a firm deadline for when we will make this live. So,
Well, if you want this, I mean, if you were looking at the beginning of August for an event where this is going to be part of it, I mean, this it has to happen before then.
yeah, oh yeah, I would say, imagine I'm an angry resident and I say, I didn't want this programming. Your response is, well, the survey was live for 30 days, 90 days, 120 days. What is
I
the,
think 30 days. I think we extended too far. It will become a moot point, I think. It needs to be,
It needs to be a
Focus.
focused, a time span, where we actually, present it, let them know it's out there, and then move forward from there. As far as those who would like paper copies,
yeah,
you know, all of that, and then, you know, gathering that information. But if we do it in a 30-day time span, we could actually get the information out by the end of the month, have all of July, and by the end of July, put it all together.
and we do a press release, send it out to neighborhood news.
yeah,
That this is what we're doing, this is the time frame.
Right.
Anyone, this is how you can contact us if you'd like a copy of it, if you don't.
And
go
so the
online.
event, I think, would have to be push to at least the 7th or the 8th.
Vanessa,
Could we leave the questionnaire at the library?
we could leave it
do
anywhere.
Lots of.
Yeah.
We
little
could
things
put
at
it
the library,
everywhere. Yeah.
And it's pretty active these days.
Sarah?
Yeah, I'm saying any place that would have it.
Mhm.
Right, so library, board meetings,
Now, the event that we're doing,
churches.
we're also collecting,
Mhm.
okay. so-
One final push.
Right, so that's, and that event is August. We haven't set a date though, right?
Exactly. We're looking
Okay.
somewhere on, so we're thinking again about devil's advocate. I'm not saying I believe this, but you did the survey in the middle of summer. I'm on vacation. I haven't been in the city. What do you
That's
say?
not, that will really, if they want to be involved, you have to be here.
Right.
Yeah, because were they on
So-
vacation a
Yeah,
month?
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
some people are.
But see, but that's the whole thing, you know,
Yeah.
if you want to be involved, you will be,
Yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
We've been doing marriage counseling, me and my wife do marriage counseling 17 years. We said people that stay married are the ones that wanted to be married.
Yeah.
And those that don't want to be married anymore. That's why they don't stay married. So that's really the gist of it. If you want to be involved in the community, you're gonna be here. If you don't want to be involved, you can't complain if you're not involved, if you're not
Yeah.
here.
And I think if we keep it as a 30-day launch, 30-day live survey from from July 1st until August 1st. And then we can make the event August 7th, and then that's one final push. Like
To
we
get it out there.
we have tried everything.
Right,
Then that gives us the remainder of August, like 2 weeks in August, to reflect and think through what that means in order to inform our school year, academic year planning. And I think that's reasonable, because I think if we just did planning our own, it doesn't even, it's not helpful.
yeah.
Well, I mean, realistically, we're gonna put out the survey. When's the last time the city actually had a survey where it asked people, what do you really think? I think we're either gonna surprise ourselves by the results, or we could disappoint ourselves, but I don't really think we will.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be a disappointment.
No, I don't think so either. And I think
Yeah.
we gather all that information so that at the beginning of the school year, when everything starts up again, basically in your mind, then we can go to council and say, here is what, give us 5 minutes to address council. Here's what our committee has found out.
Yeah.
We need to talk about this publicly with council after we've gathered all our information, so that they know we're doing our job.
Yeah.
And this is what your constituents are thinking,
Mhm.
and we have it all here.
And I think that strongly combats Councilperson Dudley's statements just now, because he was talking about something that happened in 2010. This is why the committee was formed. This was why I wrote this legislation. That's your perspective. That's
Right.
you.
Yeah,
We need
because
to
I had no idea. you know,
Right.
about that,
And
you
this
know?
this committee is not here to work through a particular agenda. This committee is in service of the community.
Exactly.
So therefore, our planning is rooted in the community. And I think this could actually be a very important step of our annual programming, because we need to track. So we could even write this in the legislation that there is community research done annually every July, for example.
Right.
So
Right.
every July, we have to revisit this information. We have to resurvey the community.
Right.
I like that idea a lot, because if you missed it the first time, or you didn't quite say enough of what you were thinking, this gives you that opportunity again, you know it's gonna come back.
Yeah.
I
Right.
can get my 2 cents in there, and maybe I can help.
And
Or even something they forgot.
Yeah,
and they wanted to
exactly.
visit. Yeah.
And then let's say we do it again next July, they can see the programming that we've had this year. I liked this, I didn't like this, we really needed more
And we can
of.
tweak it. Right,
Mhm.
right.
Right.
And then especially because Bob was talking about a 3-year commitment, our 3-year commitment will end, maybe we'll stay on, maybe we won't.
Right.
But it could be a structure that easily continues. We say you survey the community in Garfield Heights, we survey the community and its residents every year in this forum. You launched on July 1st, you hit all of the churches, neighborhood news, and you end it with this event, and then you take those findings to council. And those findings inform your programming and inform your events until the next year.
Right.
I think
So
that's,
then I have a question.
Okay.
So we're doing this, we want to launch July 1, we've named off a bazillion ways of doing that through neighborhood news, churches or whatever.
Mhm.
So now, how are we doing that? Who's reaching out to the neighborhood news? Who's doing something with the churches? Like, who's putting it in the library? Here are all these ideas. We gotta still develop them, but then we gotta sit back and say by July 1, who is
Yeah.
doing that so that it happens, bam, here it is.
And I think that is what my beautiful little click calendar, you even get one of these in your. I'm so sorry. You got a pen, you got Post-it notes, you got a legal pad.
Yeah.
All right, so we're at June 8th, the week of June 8th today. Vanessa, if it's okay with you, and then I'll reach out to Kevin as well. If the three of us can meet, and anyone else who wants to make the questions, if we could meet next week at some point as well. And then that subcommittee brings the question stems to the next meeting.
Oh, yeah, that's
And then we
cool.
focus on that next meeting.
And then we get, so every single logistic, because this will be our first launch. So we need to get every logistical detail made.
Right.
And then
Right.
that way, the following week, which becomes July 6th.
I would say we're running on days. If you want July 1st to be the target.
Well, no, the July 6th event would be focused on planning that 7th, the one later on, the touch a trunk,
Okay.
unless we want to do that earlier, but
But
I
if you're writing questions for the survey next week,
Mhm.
and then we're gonna meet a week after that and go over the questions.
The 22nd, yeah, so we're now in the marathon session, so
Okay.
this week is the 8th.
Right.
Next week, the subcommittee, whoever's interested, and we have to, it might even be longer than an hour and a half, but Wednesdays, I can figure it out. We have to get like we gotta get the questions done.
Right, Wednesday, I would have to do either late afternoon. I have a dental appointment that I've had for ages.
That's fine. We can figure it out, even if it's on a day
That's the only day
it's the only day you're available.
that I can't be available.
Oh, we could even meet another day. We'll
Okay.
touch point with Kevin, and I might even call, because I'm not very familiar with data collection. I mean, I've done it decently, but I've never actually studied data collection.
Right.
So I might see if I can Skype with one of a good friend who does this type of work to get their feedback as well.
Right.
So if we next week, Vanessa, Kevin, any other interested parties and I make the questions, and then we bring it to the committee the following week, the 22nd, the first half of that agenda, polish up, how does the wording look? How does the wording feel? And then to Sarah's point, plan every logistical item. Who's getting it to the neighborhood news with the press
Right.
release? Who's connecting to the churches? Who's launching it in the Facebook groups? Who is doing X, Y, and Z? And I think that's pretty strong.
Oh, yeah.
What do you guys think?
Because I'd be willing to do something as far as getting it out.
Yeah.
I just don't know where I would fit in, but I would definitely be a part of that.
I think
for sure.
especially if you and Ralph are connected with the churches,
Yeah,
I think, because I'm Catholic, and in the Catholic church, the end is always announcements, and there's always stuff in the bulletin. If we could get these in the bulletins, if we could get these in the announcements.
Right,
If we
right.
could have these like a chunk of time, it's just. Go ahead, Ralph.
Oh, no, I don't have anything. I'm just sitting there paying attention.
In case you're wondering, Ralph is what it was like to teach high schoolers virtually. Are you there? Did you say something?
Right.
You ready?
Now, let me ask this, does the schools have a way they communicate with the families?
Oh, there
That we
has to
can
be.
talk to, Michelle and see if there's a way to utilize
Oh, yeah.
something through that.
I guarantee you, Michelle with the school board,
and even getting a hold of the superintendent, because he has a local thing that he sends out to the parents. And that would be a good vehicle, because my wife does all of the stuff with my kids. She's a school teacher. I'm just a disciplinarian guy. So I don't know any of that, so, but he sends out something periodically, to the parents. And if we could kind of get something on there where he would send it out, that's just available to them. And if the parents want to send it out,
yeah.
that would hit a lot of people.
I think that's gonna be our biggest push with this project is getting quote unquote all hands on deck. trying to reach out to every single avenue, because the goal is to gather as much information.
As much information
as
as
we
possible,
can.
and if we can get a link on his page that he sends out, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, because once PDF is created, it could go anywhere.
It can go anywhere, it's
Yeah.
just a matter of just linking it on to whatever thing you wanna link to.
Whoever.
okay, so we have a challenge and we have a possible financing issue then. And then a possible programming issue. Because if we're gonna hit the digital collections, pretty simple, right? But now we're talking church bulletins, we're talking actual PDF, hard copy. We're looking at postage. We're looking at postage and envelopes. Because
Wait, how?
Well, I
No.
would think we would just take them
Take them
there, that's the part I do. It
But
was-
then how do we get back?
There, yeah.
I'd go pick it up, I would
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a matter of drop off and pick up.
Boxes.
Drop it off and pick it back up. I would go around and say, hey, you know, I dropped off those things. Were you able to make an outcome to get any responses?
Right, yeah.
Pick it up, bring it back to a meeting.
Mhm.
Then we could, you know, have it put all in the survey where we can get the graph going. But no, don't.
Yeah.
Besides, this
And
It
if you
is not
wanna
like
offer
Garfield
money
Heights is
for-
100 miles long, you know, it's a
Right.
small area, you know, we can do that.
And if you wanna offer a person an option for them to mail it
Yeah,
to City Hall.
I mean, if they want to,
or
that's
something,
fine.
They could do
Right.
that,
I
And
love
mail
the
it back.
idea of the
but
Dropbox.
yeah,
Yeah, a Dropbox at City Hall, a Dropbox at, like,
The
just
library
having
everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
secure Dropboxes, and that could be a logistical question that we figure out next week.
Okay, will they print, the ones that need to be printed, will they be printed here? Will they just take care of that for us?
Did you guys see that somewhere? And printing is covered, printing,
Yes.
postage,
Yeah. We get reimbursed by the city.
yeah,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that, you know, when we do this, that we have all our bases covered.
13605, the city shall provide internal staff.
there you go, and
Including
it's,
postage, printing, stationery.
Okay.
Also, yeah, that's, if we can get the printing,
And
is half
then
the
it
battle.
can be-
Really,
yeah,
because the pickup and drop off, that's not difficult, that's just a matter of Saturday morning.
Actually, there wouldn't be a cost with the neighborhood news. We send a press release. Those are
There we
free.
go, yeah, Chris,
Yeah.
So,
Bob, does your company, because I'm with Sarah on the Google document, but the problem is, and my struggle, Google documents don't look polished. They look decent, but it's not like a polished thing. Does your company, or do you subcontract or work with anyone who can really polish some sort of digital
that's the
data
name of
collection?
my game.
So polish,
Yeah,
I think the Google
You
Doc,
talking
you can put images
That's
into
my
a
job.
Google Doc.
yeah,
I don't know how fanciful we're trying to get. But you can add images to a Google Doc, but you're right, it is pretty like, here's the question.
yeah.
And here are potential responses, or here's the open paragraph for you to just write in or whatever.
I envision this straightforward, but very clean.
Go ahead, Ralph, we're here. Oh, who was that?
I was going to say, hi, everybody.
Oh, this is good.
Can
Hey,
y'all hear me?
Hey,
I was going to, the ideas that I had in mind, I'm sorry I had to dip in and out, and I do apologize.
No, that's fine.
I thought that if we presented questions, maybe we would limit them to try the best. My idea was the best I could gather maybe like 3 questions of options. And then by the time we gather all the information that we can, we'll have a general idea of how persons are leaning or what they're saying. And that would kind of eliminate having 100 different responses, kind of like Family Feud. You just give them a
Yeah,
limited
exactly.
area to respond to. And then that way you can maybe garnish. I was thinking maybe between 3 responses to a question, maybe, and then maybe have a general question that they might have to answer in 2 or 3 sentences, versus just anybody have any answer to anything, because that can vary and we can never probably get a true census of how the Garfield Heights feel, or a heartbeat or the pulse of Garfield Heights. So that's the ideal I had. I don't know if anyone else had any different kind of suggestions or ideas. I know I came in on the tail end of the conversation.
Well, and Kevin, that's exactly what we were talking about, is how to format it in a really, a a specific way to get the numerical data, so to get numbers and to get written responses. And then the only thing you missed, Kevin, the subcommittee who's gonna do that, I'm interested in partnering with you now. Vanessa also said she's interested, so I'll connect the three of us via email or even after we're done here to figure
Okay.
out time and a date for next week to get that information finalized, so that we
Okay.
can bring it to polish it.
Okay. Well, and one more thing, and I'll be quiet. I really am, I've been quiet. Just 1 second. I'm in a Zoom meeting. I really been quiet, just trying to be prayerful, because I received about 3 calls from 3 different persons of the council area. And I'm gonna say this, and this will tell you even more, former council areas about our meetings. And I'm a little bit disturbed that in our infancy, people feel obligated to carry the in parts of our meeting out and elsewhere. I thought we said we were trying to collect the identity for who we are, what we stand for. And it just challenges me in my spirit that we can't have an inner trust and build inner relationship, not to just carry every tidbit, especially when there's misinformation, because nobody in the group ever said Sarah was the boss of the group. Nobody ever said that the mayor made Sarah the boss of the group. Nobody never said these things. So nobody said we was doing a mayoral symposium to see who the best candidate was. These things were never shared in our meeting. So who's ever carrying information out of the meeting, I have to be prayerful, because these things disturb me. I'm not used to being around naughty people that just carry things about. I want us to build an intimacy in this group that says we can trust one another, we can share with one another, we can express with one another. When I received these 3 different calls from 3 different people who don't even necessarily like or group with each other, it's kind of alarming. We've only met 3 times, 2 times. Well, this is the 3rd time, and we already have people that feel it necessary to carry the meetings all over the city. And we need to we have to decide that we want to build. We can't build a tight nucleus, a trusting nucleus, if we're going to have the help from outside persons trying to call and sway our thoughts, or people on the inside carrying all of our. Nothing was even solidified last week. We just came up with plans. So to carry it out and say this is what's happening in our meetings, I think that's very misleading and misrepresenting the group in its entirety. It's just something I want us to think about.
Kevin, interesting you're saying that. I think you missed, maybe came in on the tail end or missed the beginning of our meeting. We pretty much were saying that same thing that you felt, that we had a person come in as a guest that we never told we were even having a meeting, who spoke about things that have happened in our meeting that we haven't put information out, mentioned, implied they had seen minutes. And so I think we have a concern as to how our information is getting out. And I know, like, our last meeting was recorded. We haven't gotten a recording, but I don't know if that being recorded is available. Like this Zoom system, who has access to it? That is someone able to go back and listen to our recordings? We don't know.
We don't have that.
It's very odd.
And I know it wasn't me. I wasn't even in the last 2 meetings.
You wasn't even here.
Right. Right. So we've had that concern, and the thought is that I guess maybe having recordings, sharing information.
Well, and
how does it translate to the
Who's our
city
deep
center?
throat in this group?
well, I think what it looks like is, if you think too, the Zoom that we have been using and the recording that we have been using
Yeah.
is the City of Garfield Heights.
So we might need to stop using
We
that.
are using Mayor Burke's personal Zoom. It is the city of Garfield Heights.
So it's easy to look up.
Which it's easy to look up, and then especially if they're accessing our recordings. I mean, I've never even seen a recording. I can't get access to this.
I don't know how to get a recording.
It's
so.
just Jennifer
Me neither.
and May and the council people. I have a big, and Kevin, I said this before, I was very concerned, and I'm very concerned, A, that councilperson Dudley knew we were having a meeting today. B, that he was able to get the link. And then C, he felt it appropriate during a brainstorming session to push an agenda and attempt to sway our brainstorming and planning.
Right.
We're not gonna be, I really would like to be closed for a good amount of time before we go public, because we have to get together what we're gonna do, what direction we're gonna take. That's what I was stating earlier. We all agreed. This time, these first meetings that we're having is really, like we stated in the beginning, is to get to know one another.
Yes.
Figure out what direction our group is gonna take for our community, and to really kind of get action plans in place. If you make that public, it could be a free-for-all. I mean, it would go crazy.
And if I may be open and vulnerable for a moment too, thinking about this, understanding that we don't even know what it means to be mayoral designee. But for me to be mayoral designee, and for Councilperson Dudley's biggest push to be, you haven't even selected a chairperson. It's been 4 meetings and you haven't selected a chairperson. What is he saying about me right there? I have, as a young woman, I am feeling incredibly attacked in that way.
I don't know if he meant any negative attack. I just think he was trying to control direction.
Yep.
And that's out of place.
Controls the queue.
Like for you to be the designee, none of us had an issue with it, or we would have said something in the beginning.
Right.
So if we don't have an issue with it, what's his problem?
Exactly.
You feel what I'm saying? So
That's what I'm trying to say.
So that, I don't think that was the thing. I just think that he kind of was trying to turn it into a thing where we have to do it in this manner and stay away from this and don't do this. And really, he's not a leader of the group.
And it almost needs to be, we have not formally protected our time and space because we never thought we needed to.
Right, I didn't think that was gonna happen.
We didn't think we needed to. I think this is an example of, no, we need to protect our time and space, not only with the residents who we want to be open with, but with our elected officials. That includes all of council, that includes all of the Board of Education, that includes the mayor.
Yeah.
Because we are not politicizing any of this. We're trying to fulfill our duties.
It's community relations. So
And you know what?
that's the point.
On the
Absolutely.
text from Matt, he copied Jennifer, Noreen Kuban, Pat Salemi. So
I think we need
I
to
mean-
take Mayor Burke and Jennifer out of the mix for now, because then that way it truly is just us.
Okay,
And-
that sounds good.
Ralph, as far as getting you a Zoom link,
I got a Zoom link.
we can use Sarah, and then Sarah, can you record it?
I can't record it.
Okay, and then, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that Mayor Burke put us together, do we not have a responsibility to at least go and him privately with what we're doing? That was,
Yeah, that's
Not at
not,
all.
I don't think that's an issue at all. I just would like for us to be prepared before we do anything public.
Yeah.
So the getting to know each other, to making everything confidential right now is essential to the growth of this group.
And the assign- hold on, Ralph, can you say that again? We didn't hear you.
No, I'm just sitting here saying that I think the comment is correct, that if you're gonna remove one, you have to remove everybody from having access, and you keep the group intact so that you can do what needs to be done. And when the time is right to go public, then you do. But until that time, it needs to be solidified.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
So if
I
you
think,
couldn't hear Ralph's comment was,
I don't think it's so much as, let me just say this, and it's in a respectful manner. I don't think it's so, Mayor Burke did go about appointing and assigning us, but the committee is something that has been in the heart or in the mind of Garfield Heights City long before Mayor Burke. So it's not like Mayor Burke birthed the group. He only brought life or resuscitated a group that was always intended to be. Thereby, I don't think we're obligated to baby step Mayor Burke with every process and every meeting till we have again formed our own identity and identified exactly what our target is and what our mission is and how we're going to accomplish. Then at that particular point, it's not just an obligation to the mayor, it's an obligation to the entire council of our city to let them
That's
know
correct.
where we're going and what we have done. Not every single meeting, not every single idea, not every single suggestion. No, I don't think I don't think personally that is necessary as we do with all of our families and children and those of us who have been in charge. I have a pastor here and other persons who have been in charge. When you give people the freedom to move, you don't expect a minute by minute report. You just want to see the results and how the results are formulated.
Exactly. I'm right with you, brother, because I deal with it quite often. And if we're going to close it and get to know each other and plan agendas and get things together, then let's just close it.
Yes.
so if I may bring us back, because our time is ending and I want to be respectful with where we are at. I'm compiling just a list of action steps for what we need to do, when we need to do it, and then who is managing it. So the first action step for the remaining Zooms, we'll use Sarah's Zoom account. Is that okay? So
I don't have
Sarah,
a problem.
I'll send that out.
so Ralph, Sarah will now be sending out the links for the digital meetings.
Okay, that's fine.
I think we're
And-
also in agreement, just like Ralph said, if we're removing one, we need to remove all. And my request, and in my meeting, which I hope can happen this morning with Mayor Burke, getting all of our previous recordings removed from city data. I don't know where those recordings are. I don't know who has access to them. I didn't even realize when I accepted this, I didn't think this was the type of work I was going to do.
Right.
But
Just
apparently, the week of 6/15, we're the subcommittee for the survey. Vanessa, Kevin, and I will find a time to get together to bring as polished as physically possible. It won't be perfect, but bring as polished as physically possible the questions.
To our next meeting.
And then if the committee can approve, I think our next meeting, the week of the 22nd, is going to be our biggest lift. So my ask of the committee would be to extend the time. And then I would, if we would be interested in a potluck type situation, I would be happy to bring food. Maybe Bob can get his wife to make that monkey bread again. I think if we say, if it's great about it. Ian, you missed it. It was good.
I'm pretty sure it was.
But if we could say on the 22nd, instead of an hour and a half, budgeting 2, maybe 3 hours, that would be a push. But if we could have a break in the middle, then that way at least we know on the 22nd, we can plan all of those steps for the surveys launch.
Right.
And then we could also plan all of the steps for the meet and greet touch event on the 1st, the 7th, 8th. And I think if we have a 3, maybe with a brunch or something in the middle, then we can be laser focused on those. What are your thoughts?
Sounds good to me. You can have my morning. I'm good.
So the 22nd at 9 again?
It would be Wednesday, which would be the 23rd. Is that okay? Kevin, Ralph, is that okay with you? Wednesday, the 23rd?
Yeah, I probably can do better with my attendance next time.
Ah, we missed you, Kevin. We missed you there. But we're happy to have you in the virtual space.
Yeah, I'm happy to just be here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Wednesday, 6:23, we're thinking 9 to what?
What if we say 9 to 11? What if we said 9 to 12 and then be done early and surprise ourselves?
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay, can everyone commit to bringing a something to share with the group?
Oh, sure.
Even if it's water or juice or a snack?
We're gonna all bring waters.
Finish.
Next week I can, as we look at groceries and whatnot, next week I'll shoot out just like a potluck list of like who can bring what have you.
And then we can just respond back what we're bringing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, real quick.
So
I know
Marina,
someone has said that they were going to work with me in the questionnaires. Who was that again? Who am I working with?
Marina and Vanessa.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. All right.
And Marina
Sounds
said
good.
she'll reach out to you to set up a meeting for next week.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Looking forward to that, Kevin.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to continues working with all of you. All you guys are such wonderful people, and I just appreciate you all so much, even in the brevity of time of knowing one another. It's just already exciting. Finally glad to even see the face of Pastor Cox. I hope I get a chance to see you face to face, as the
I
Lord
think this
says.
was this experience, this day, I think was an important bonding moment too,
Yes.
for us, building rapport. And it helps me understand, it's a negative way, what I'm gonna say, what we're up against. I just don't know a better way to say it, but it's sort of reality, like what we're trying to bridge over. Hopefully finding ways that things like this don't happen in the future.
Well, I'm glad because I was feeling uncomfortable and I just.
Yeah, I think Violet was about to get going, right?
Yeah.
Now, let me just clarify so that I'm good. So our 3 and 4, the Summer Fest and the forum, we've now kind of put that into one thing, which is gonna be the Touch the Truck, meet candidates and current people event, right?
Yeah.
And we can
Okay.
still continue to discuss if we want some sort of virtual forum.
No, I think this is good. And then the people who are there, folks can ask them whatever they want and I think that's perfect.
Yeah,
And then some date in June, I can't remember the exact date, everybody has to turn their signatures in and got them verified in order to officially be on there.
Is that the 15th?
I'm thinking 15 or 16, it's
it's
something.
soon, it's very.
Yeah, I know they have to
very
have those
Yeah.
signatures in
Signatures.
by the middle of this month, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
Yeah.
so then we'll know for sure who actually is running, because I checked it last night and everyone doesn't have them in yet.
Yeah,
And so I think of the mayor, I think 4 of the 6 have them in.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, beautiful. All right, guys, we did it. Another meeting in the books.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
So, all right, Ralph, we've got this one done,
Thanks, Ralph.
and I've got his packet, and you've got his folder.
And Ian, I'll get you your.
You're welcome.
next
Yeah.
time around.
No problem, no problem. I will.
See you guys later. See you,
So
Bob.
long.
Take good care.
All right, take it easy, Bob.
I should have brought food this time. I should have brought a snack. If you ever need a